This had better be important.
Yes, sir. The American agent has infiltrated the X-Lab facility.
Happy Monday to you. I think it's Monday. I don't know. We'll talk about that in a second. Welcome back to the Combat Footage Show. I'm Ronnie. I'll be your host. Hit the like button. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're joining from. Here we go. That song hits, man. Every time. What's going on, guys? It's moving fast. I'm way too stupid to keep up with this. Oklahoma, what's up? North Carolina. The bedroom. My bedroom? What's up? New England. How are you? Hi, Ronnie. Hello. That's me. Canada. Virginia, baby. Hey. Quebec. Welcome in. The free state of Florida. Alabama. From Greenbow, Alabama. Okay, so welcome back to the Combat Footage Show. Like I said, at least all day today. I'm Ronnie, and I'm your host. We were absent on Friday, and I wanted to just chat about that for a second. I'm not an influencer, right? I don't care to influence you to do anything. I just don't care. If I could, though, the one thing that I would influence you to do is to call your loved ones. I had an immediate family member get into a very severe life-threatening accident Thursday morning. Spent the weekend in the ER and trauma. And by all accounts, that family member is extremely lucky. Freak accidents happen, and they could happen to anybody. So all I'll say is reach out to your family members, reach out to people that, you might have not necessarily grown distant from, but, those that raised you, those that should be closer, keep them close. Okay. But we got a good show for you tonight. I don't want to drag everybody down. Everything's on the mend, alert, alive, moving forward, always forward. We've got a long show set up tonight. We're going to be covering primarily footage coming out of Gaza. There's actually quite a bit of it, and it's going to focus very specifically around Israel's continued ground assault, where they have effectively bisected Gaza via that approach from around middle Gaza near the Wadi Gaza. Last Monday, for some reason, my brain couldn't process how to say Wadi Gaza. I went back and watched the VOD, and again, just to focus on the comments, because we do read the comments. Some people tell me I shouldn't read the comments, but this show is literally designed for engagement and interaction with you, with us, like together. We're in this together. And my stupid brain could not process. I kept saying like Wazi Ghazi or something. The Wadi Gaza. So with that incursion point there at about mid-Gaza to the southwest of Gaza City, and then also from the north, where the furthest progress thus far has been on the coast. Let's take a look at a map. The ISW has come in and finally saved us for the lack of map that we've had for a little while. They have an interactive map. I'm going to drop a link to that in the story, or excuse me, not in the story, in the chat for you. I didn't put it in the stream description, but I'll have it put in the stream description soon. We're going to see footage from all of these perspectives, or from all of these avenues of approach. We'll see a little bit of footage from Beit Hanun. We saw a little bit of that on last Monday, excuse me. We'll see quite a bit of footage, from this northernmost avenue of advance for Israel. We will see footage from Hezbollah in the north. We'll talk a little bit about their, whole lot of nothing burger statement that they put out. But we're also going to see footage right out of the gate coming from Turkey. Let's head over and talk about Incirlik. If my stuff wants to work. Okay, all right, we're already there. Incirlik Air Base here in Turkey is home to the 39th Air Base, or 39th Air Force something or other. I have it out in a tweet exactly what they're called. I don't know, like, I know platoons, squads, Air Force calls it some weird stuff. Anyway, there are approximately 1,800 U.S. and DoD personnel. When I say DoD personnel, I mean both military and civilian, right? So there are going to be civilian personnel there that are technically a part of the DoD that work, administrative functions, but you're also going to have military here. Now, at this gate specifically, pro-Palestinian riots, the best thing to call them, had to be quelled by Turkish police. We're going to see some footage of that coming right out of the gate tonight. That footage is coming up for you momentarily. Oh, look at that. I already had it pulled up. Doing my job. Here we go. Go me. Let's crank up the quality here. I didn't mean to bleep. I hit the wrong button. I had to cough, and I have a bleep button, which is this one, and then I have a cough button. Now, these folks are coughing, undoubtedly because of the use of CS gas, something along those lines from a crowd control perspective. The reason that they're doing, some pretty heavy crowd control there is Incirlik is home to some very serious capabilities. Like I mentioned, it's the 39th Air Base Wing. I think that's the nomenclature for it. Around 1,800 U.S. personnel. The base is owned by Turkey, but is run, not unlike our other bases in countries that have leased that land to us, but is run entirely by the United States. It also happens to be home to strategic bombers, which includes somewhere to the tune of like 50 nuclear warheads. So I thought that one was pertinent for me to show you. Kind of worldwide, there are a lot of pro-Palestinian protests that are taking place, including, and I don't have footage of it tonight for us to look at, it's just something I overlooked, and I'll have to own that. Sorry. Including in Washington, D.C., where protesters attempted to scale the fence, and in some cases did scale the fence, smearing either fake or real blood all over the pillars at the White House. Some talking head commentators called it passionate protests, which I thought was, kind of hilarious. Smearing blood all over, or it could be fake blood, I don't know, all over the pillars at the White House. These protests continue, and all I can say is stay out of the cities. But we're going to move on. This is the combat footage show, not necessarily the protest show. I have the stream broken out in sections, right? So if you were to look at the stream description, you're going to see international / or response / international. That's the section that we're in here. Words are hard today. We will eventually jump back into the map and look at things in Gaza in Israel from a north to south perspective, not unlike we have been historically. But for now, I actually want to start in the south, near Eilat, where Israel, and there's a reason that I'm starting in the south, where Israel had to intercept Houthi missiles. Multiple, in fact. There's a reason I'm starting with this video, though. This wasn't the only intercept. There was actually something of a groundbreaking intercept from Israel, using their Arrow anti-ballistic missile system. This is the first recorded use of the Arrow system. I believe it began development back in the 1980s. But what makes this even more significant is it was beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Now, Cole blogged this one for us. By technicality, this is space warfare. Also by technicality, these are Cole's words, not mine, this would technically mean, because Israel is a recognized state and the Houthis are not, Houthis being from Yemen, I think it's Incirlik, Houthis being from Yemen, because they are not, technically this is Empire 1, Rebel Factions 0. This is the Arrow intercepting an Iranian Shahab 3 missile beyond the Earth's atmosphere. That makes that the first, not just intercept of that, that's the first usage of the Arrow system. The Arrow, if I understand correctly, can intercept targets all the way up to 100 kilometers in altitude and has about a 300-kilometer range. It's an extremely capable system, co-developed by both U.S. defense contractors and Israeli defense contractors. But that wasn't it. The Houthis continued to kind of throw stuff at Israel, and F-35s had to play defense. This is an F-35 shooting down a Houthi cruise missile flying over the Black Sea, I believe. Here you are. This took place on the 2nd. One more time. Now, unlike Hezbollah, Hezbollah kind of holds a lot of their cards close to their chest. We're going to see a little bit of footage of them showing some of those cards, specifically anti-ship missiles. I think I logged that video for us to watch. But the Houthis are very open about what they have. And they have a range of capabilities. And I mean cruise missiles that have a very long range, that can fly for very far, and that can make it all the way from Yemen to Israel. Let's take a look at the map and get a better understanding of what in totality that means. It's coming up for you now. We're back to ISW's map here. The Houthis operating in Yemen are firing these all the way along the Red Sea coast towards Israel. If you guys recall, there was the USS Carney. It was located here in the Red Sea. Intercepted some of these all the way back about 2 weeks ago. The Houthis continue to fire those, and Israel has started playing a little bit of defense to their south as well. Now, there's also satellite imagery of, I want to say it was the Eisenhower, transiting the Suez Canal, moving into what appeared to be either the Gulf of Suez or even deeper into the Red Sea. That satellite imagery would have been maybe from the 1st or 2nd, so about 5-6 days ago. What the mission of the Eisenhower will be when they get there is undoubtedly to support any further escalation from the Houthis in Yemen. I want to move to talk about Lebanon, though, and the situation in the north. Everybody was on pins and needles waiting for Hezbollah's official statement that took place a few days ago. But more or less what we ended up getting was kind of a nothing burger. Wrong button. I'll figure out my buttons one of these days. Was more or less a nothing burger. There was an expectation that Hezbollah was going to declare all-out war, throw themselves into the fire, into the fight. But that did not take place. In fact, there are many that, pro-Palestine that are berating or decrying Hezbollah for some of their statements, which were effectively, this is not our fight. We'll continue, and we have engaged, which is really just, doing service to doing something. But effectively said, this is not our fight. Right? I've got some footage, though, of attacks from Hezbollah against Israel. It's coming up for you guys now. This is part of the long battle of Hezbollah versus the tower. So far, it's tower, 30, Hezbollah 0. There's actually multiple locations that we're going to see being targeted by Hezbollah in this video, all three of which are in the stream description. It's about a 2-minute and 30-second video. I'm going to check in on the support. And for all the new subs, thank you guys very much for it. Collier Report, thank you for the 24 months. Appreciate that. Alabama, thank you very much for the 11 months. Paul, thank you for the 11 months. Daniel, thank you for the 10 months. Devon, thank you for the 21. Goodness, guys. It's a lot of months. I'm about to mute myself to pop open my drink here. So if we come back and I'm still muted, understand that I warned you. Here's our tower. We've got some pretty extreme close quarters footage that we're going to be looking at here in a little bit. I do think understanding the situation in the north is still relevant and pertinent. So when we have new releases like this, we're going to keep showing them. More tower stuff. That was not your standard ATGM. Let's bring it up. Now, Israel responded to those. They put out a statement, the IDF did. Okay, I wanted to make sure I had unmuted myself. They put out a statement, the IDF did, effectively saying that somewhere in the realm of 30 rockets throughout the day on the 6th, that would be today. It's early morning of the 7th right now, if I'm not mistaken. Time zones are weird. But throughout the day of the 6th, somewhere around 30 rockets had been fired from Lebanon into Israel. So what they chose to do is cast a yeetus deletus spell, which you're going to see here. These are IDF airstrikes against Hezbollah targets in Yemen. These aren't necessarily in response today to those strikes, but it's some of the only IDF published footage I could find specific to striking back against Hezbollah, continuing to launch rockets into Israel. Now, some of those capabilities that I talked about with Hezbollah, those anti-ship missiles. They continue to kind of tease that stuff. This is just a quick video that shows some of those anti-ship missiles, but I've got a little bit of context to these, specifically from, relative to their capability. So the best knowledge that's known about the anti-ship capabilities of Hezbollah is that they have two types primarily of anti-ship missiles. There's the Iranian-made Nor and the Russian-made Yakant. Now, each of those has a respective range of 120 kilometers and 300 kilometers, respectively. When you marry those ranges against the known locations of the Ford and the Eisenhower, the Ford and the Eisenhower were specifically stationed well outside of the known ranges of these anti-ship capabilities. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing Yakant properly, but I'm going to keep pronouncing it that way. I think it sounds correct. Let's move on. Now, in the north, the IDF does have combat power deployed. We're going to see some footage here from inside the tank of the 53rd Armor Brigade, who is there in support of the 13th Battalion of the Golani Infantry Brigade. Here you are. All right. Richard, thank you very much for the 723. Appreciate that very much. Charlie Brown, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome. Excuse me. Excavation Nation, thank you for the 10. Hey, brother, can you explain why our carriers are there? I thought it was to prevent people from doing this. Is this another empty Biden move, or am I missing something? Keep up the good work. I wouldn't call this an empty Biden move, right? The steaming of two carrier strike groups, along with the deployment of the 26th Marine 26th MEU, drawn a blank here on what exactly, Marine Expeditionary Unit. There are a lot of personnel deployed to the Mediterranean and the Red Sea as it stands right now. From a deterrent perspective, that is a massive amount of combat power. When it comes to states, internationally recognized states, they're going to understand that combat power. They're going to understand the capabilities that it brings with it. When it comes to non-recognized states like the Houthis, right? Well, how really do you respond to that other than doing what we already do, which is, target them onesie twosie? There's a pretty common understanding that, when it comes to these more ideology-based rather than organizationally based, terrorist groups, you cut the head off the snake and two more grow, right? So the Houthis aren't really going to, in my opinion, give a shit, to be honest with you. But Iran getting involved is absolutely not going to happen, because there are two carrier strike groups there, which combined have a capability, a lot. That's a lot of capability. Yeah, that's 100% more carriers than Russia has right now. Technically 200%, because the Admiral Kuznetsov, I think is their carrier's name. I don't think that's operational. So the steaming of those two carriers into the Med, dorking around in and around the Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea is actually a pretty large response from Biden. Exactly how and when they respond to what, I think, is the question mark for Biden. Seeing how he uses them. Let's move on, though. We're going to head into the West Bank. We're going to see some spicy stuff. So we were looking at I don't know, like hatch chili pepper, spicy. We're moving into some jalapeno, and we're going to eventually get into some habanero stuff. And this first one, we're headed into the West Bank. This took place in Jerusalem. I want to give you guys a specific location here. This took place right here. This very spot. The Israeli police were reportedly, I'm only reporting the way this was presented, were reportedly responding to the flying of pro-Palestinian, flags, of Palestinian flags. And, well, sweep the leg, Johnny. Look at this corn-fed dude right here. Don't run up on that man. Don't run. Yeah, don't do that. Turn around and go back to the gate, bro. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the context. So here is what we always have, and it's always notable with footage like this. Don't know what happened before this video. Don't know. We don't have context outside of the imperfect lens into this situation that this short 33-second clip provides. Right? We say the same thing when we see law enforcement use of force. You see a 10-second clip of an engagement, a use of deadly force, but you don't truly understand the situation, even if you had an extra 5 minutes, but because what we don't have is the additional senses, right? Video will always be a better but still imperfect lens into the real world. It's a two-dimensional lens into a three-dimensional space. That being said, that was a textbook takedown. I don't know why he did it, but the guy on the ground got taken down. Yamam conducted raids in the West Bank. This first one was a raid reportedly to kill or capture a known former ISIS operative. Now, this guy had apparently amassed about a squad-sized element and was providing them with arms, encouraging them to fight against Israelis in the West Bank. This is the Yamam counter-terror unit. We're going to see some more footage from them in a second. What you say about my mom, Ronnie? You heard me. I didn't stutter. Ronnie voted for Biden. I most certainly did not. Thump. All right, bringing it up. Now more. So this is footage that actually took place today. I want to say this is in Tulkarem. Tulkarem. Again, guys, I try and be as respectful as possible about pronunciations. I'm not really known for being able to do it, though. Not going to really describe what's happening here until we watch the footage, and then we're going to see a couple different angles from this. But this is once again Yamam. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing that poorly. All right, let's pause for a second. So this was how I first came into contact with this footage. That pause about right there. It was from a very prominently pro-Palestinian account, which said very specifically, you know, the IDF massacred 3 civilians in the West Bank. We're going to continue to watch this. Then we're going to pause again. That's a rifle being pulled out of there. Now, who actually was killed here? At least 2 are named Hamas commanders. One actually, I think, from the Al Martyrs Brigade. The other one from Al Qassam Brigades. There's a tweet that we put out. And in fact, I might be able to pull that up right now. I'm pretty sure we're on our... We are. Here we are. Is Adin Awad, a Hamas commander, and Jihad Maharaj Shahada, an Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade commander. So, this tweet is actually wrong, though. There's additional fidelity on this. I have some additional information, and that additional information is finding video of the inside of that vehicle. There were 4 that were in there, and the link to that footage is in the stream description. The only context and additional value that provides is to tell, for this show specifically, is to tell you that there were 4 in there. If you go and click that link, it's yucky. It's not good. But it's entirely up to you if you do decide to click that and go watch it. I do have a different perspective of this, though. Let's get a different perspective of that operation from a neighboring balcony.
خاصة الناظر حد زينه.
Something that's notable is this individual here. Now, I'm not sure where he comes from because, again, in the aftermath footage that is linked in the stream description, these seats are full inside. I don't know if they were detaining him at some point. I'm not certain, but he is visible in the last clip that we watched as well. Some continuation footage of that, which actually brings us a little bit more in line from a timeline perspective with the previous video. Well, from the first perspective. Here.
هياخد أسلحتهم في شبكوه. يا الله.
The last view of that I wanted to show you if you were just interested in what that vehicle looked like is this one. Now, from what I can tell, they conducted this operation, and the 4 individuals, 2 of which were named either Hamas or Al Martyrs Brigade commanders. Commanders can mean a lot of things. It could mean like a squad level, leader. It could mean something larger than that. I see the term commanders used a lot. They're all still in that vehicle, though. They're all there. Was he about 11 or 12? Something like that. All right, let's bring it up. So again, the only value that additional footage provides that shows the internals to that vehicle, which is really nasty, and I don't recommend watching it because I'm telling you what the additional value is that there were 4, not 3. What's interesting about that is, some of the sources that reported the video from inside of the vehicle still said 3, and it's quite obvious that there are 4 very not okay people inside of there. let's head into Gaza. I need to pause for the support to the stream, and thank you guys for it. Taco Dell, thank you for the $5. Finally caught you live. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm going to put the hat back on. I haven't had a chance to get my hair cut yet, just given the situation that happened over the weekend. And it's kind of crazy, and it's bothering the hell out of me. Anyway, Taco Dell, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Thanks for all you do. Hope all is well. All is always well. Some of the days suck, but the grand scheme's going to be good. Yeah, appreciate that. Bearcat, thank you for the 723. Charlie Brown, thank you for the 608. Happy birthday, Big Ronald. Not my birthday. Yeah. So it's still is not my birthday. My birthday was recently. It's in September. Thank you very much for the 608. America's favorite Brazilian. Thank you for the $2. Join me to block the borders. I think it's going to need a lot more than just you to block the borders. It's a long border, but maybe at some point we can focus on that as well. Yeah, I'm going to put my hat back. I'll do that after the next video here. Heading into the Gaza Strip. Going back to the map, though. Actually, before we get into Gaza, we're going to see an impact of a Hamas rocket on an Israeli road here. Just outside of the city of Ashdod. Once again, doing my best on the pronunciation. That city. Right there. Here comes that footage now. It's dash cam footage. And I'm always interested in the capabilities of these homegrown kitchen sink rockets. You might be surprised.
Якщо они стоят, они должны были лежать.
Быстрее, говорит, нельзя.
А что такое? Нифига себе. Мама, его горит машина.
Виталик, проезжай.
Куда?
Виталик, уезжай.
Куда мне ехать?
Now, none were killed in this, but reportedly 3 were injured. Presumably, maybe in this vehicle.
И вот попало.
Ему тоже попало.
Нам не попало?
Не. Осторожно.
Включи этот аварийку.
Ты нормально?
Да, я быстрее даже.
Was that one of the rockets fired by Hamas? Reportedly, yes. What's interesting to me, and this has been geolocated, I recommend going and checking out geoconfirmed. I'm a big fan of theirs. I've talked about it before. I think they do an amazing service in a sea of footage that's, increasingly impossible to understand the context of. In a sea of footage, they have a community that surrounds them that is very good at identifying landmarks, identifying, locations. This has been geoconfirmed. What's interesting to me is that I'm not great with languages, but it sounds like they're speaking Russian. I don't know. You guys feel free to correct me on that. Anyway, we're headed into Gaza Strip next. Starting in Beit Hanun, which is in the northeastern corner of Gaza. I wonder if the ISW map will take... It does, but it's not very good. Those are way off. Stand by. Yeah. Here's the geolocation for that. For this footage that we're going to watch. We're going to start to get into some of the IDF's published ground operations footage. And we'll be starting about right here. About right where I had this. And it'll be somewhat progressive. As we move from here, I believe down this road. 2 or 3 different videos. What you're going to see is effectively the IDF establishing strong points, which is not unlike what they've been doing across from east to west, southern Gaza, using those D9 bulldozers. Now, these things have actually been really hard at work over on our Twitter. I know I cite our Twitter a lot, but you know that's one of the areas, one of the socials that I manage for our team. So I spend a lot of time there. Over on Twitter, I retweeted a thread. I want to say it was from OSINT Technical, who has done a little bit of satellite imagery analysis on the southern avenue that is effectively cutting Gaza in half. You know, primarily, in my opinion, we're getting into opinion for a second. Israel is cutting Gaza in half for two purposes. One is to fully envelop Gaza City. Two is to keep any Hamas operatives that have fled to the south from being able to come back to the north, reinforce, resupply those that are, barricading themselves in Gaza City for what will become a, house-to-house, rubble-to-rubble fight. But OSINT Technical did a little bit of imagery analysis on that breaks down some of those strong points throughout their approach. Again, it's more from southeast to northwest, and I thought it was a really valuable piece of information. So go check our Twitter feed. I want to say it might be 2 or 3 tweets down. I think it's a good one. Now, a little bit further to the south from that area. So we're here. Let's get this reoriented to the north. There we go. A little bit further to the south of there. Hello. Thank you. Here is where this next video takes place. It just shows the IDF continuing to patrol and move further and further towards and into Gaza City. That video is coming up for you now. All right, let's bring it back up. Reformed Convict, thank you very much for the $5. Thanks for the hard work to archive this important footage, adding context when possible. When possible is important. I don't always have great context for it. We'll have a couple of videos like that later. An opinion that feels unbiased to all combatants. Thanks for all. Thank you very much for the $5. Appreciate that very much. Jonathan, thank you very much for the 5. Happy birthday to the most rapidly aged, it's not my birthday, to the most rapidly aging person I know. How many birthdays is that now? I only have one a year. What you guys say is... Thank you very much for the 5. Appreciate you both very much. Now, I don't, speaking of context, I don't have a great location for this, but it is presumably in the north. It doesn't necessarily have to be, but that's the section of the stream that I have it in. This is a official IDF release, and I actually have linked the IDF's post on this. Their statement is that this is ammunition, medical equipment, food, and advanced weapons, effectively logistical supplies for their operation in Gaza. Hey, Alex, I see you. Wonder how the Merkavas are doing. We'll see some footage of the Merkavas here very soon. Yeah. They're getting their work in. Put it that way. Let's bring it up. We're going to move to that coastal side of Gaza. So let's go back to the map here. Back to ISW's map, the Institute for the Study of War. I've been a fan of theirs for a long time. So we've been spending a little bit of time here in this push from what would be like the Erez checkpoint. Now we're going to slide over to the coast for the furthest portion of their northern advance, northeast to southwest, where we'll see more footage of Israel's ground operations. I'm going to give you guys a location since we're shifting on the map, though. There you go. We're moving to right there. We're going to spend a little bit of time here. We're going to see footage from both the IDF and Hamas against the coast. So that's an interesting piece of technology there that we just watched. Some of you guys might be familiar with our coverage of the war in Ukraine, where from a mine clearance perspective, we talk a lot about the Incirlik and the UR-77 meteorite, which is a mine clearing line charge. There's a big nope rope that gets fired that's essentially just a big long thing of explosives, and it clears a path. What you're looking at here is a carpet mine clearing thermobaric charge. It's a thermobaric warhead that is effectively used to clear mines. So same functionality or same purpose, just a little bit different of a design, just to help you understand what you just watched. Its purpose is to clear mines. We're going to watch the carpet once again. Doop. It makes a very pleasing thump sound when it gets fired. AT and anti-personnel mines in general, right? Mines in general, not necessarily targeting either, I would say. I'm not necessarily, an expert on weapons. You know, I have a surface level understanding of quite a few different ones, and that surface level understanding typically comes just in the form of documenting the footage, right? I don't claim to be an expert in much. I like to be about a mile long and an inch deep in as much as possible. Let's move forward. More footage from the IDF here. Ground operations near the coast. This specifically is the 460th Brigade. Crank the quality here before we jump into the footage. Here you go. You see the coast in the background there. Don't have a geolocation for this. I'm sure it's been geolocated. I just wasn't able to find it. All right, coming up. I saw a question in the chat. Was that a Tavor? Tavor. Yeah, yes. I find it to be interesting that you see a mixture of the Tavor and M4s. Like towards the end there, we saw, a U.S. government issued M4. The United States government is the most prolific firearms trafficker in the world, I think. I don't know. I got that from the movie Lord of War. Don't know if it's 100%, though. At least I give you the source that I got it from. And more of those ground operations by the coast. Don't have a great geolocation for this, once again, but you'll see why I have it in the coastal section. All right. So let's flip the coin over here. Now I'm going to show you some geolocation areas. Let's go back to the map. Our last known geolocated footage was here, and it was from an IDF perspective. Let's take a look at some footage from a Hamas perspective that took place here. Okay. Now, there's going to be multiple locations in this video, though. Another geolocated position in this video will be here. So all really within, I don't know, shouting distance of each other. But what we're going to see here is footage of Hamas engaging Merkavas. We're going to see a lot of RPG stuff. A lot of RPG stuff tonight. But they're engaging Israeli vehicles at some pretty close distances.
الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر ولله الحمد الله أكبر ولله الحمد ولعت ولعت اضرب اضرب هاي قبالك الله اكبر ولله الحمد الله اكبر ولله الحمد
جعلنا من بين ايديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فاغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون
يا رب هاي دباباتهم هاي جرافاتهم والله إنها بإذن الله ستكون دمار ووبال عليهم.
Let's bring it up. Let's chat for a second. So something that I find interesting, just pointing out an interesting note, is that we rarely ever see any outcome of any of those tandem RPG strikes. So the weird extra dong that you see on the front of that you might not be used to when looking at a standard PG-7 is that it is effectively a tandem warhead. So it's designed to defeat special types of armor using, two warheads, essentially. But what we don't see is we don't see any aftermath. There's never any footage of what it looks like after that's been hit. A lot of these Merkavas especially are going to have a trophy system. The trophy system is a very capable active protection system that is designed specifically to thwart things like the RPG, not just your standard PG-7, but also tandem warheads. And it's extremely likely, though I can't, this is opinion. I'll always state when it's an opinion and not known context. But it's extremely likely that, at least on those vehicles where the trophy system was employed, that it was successful in protecting the crew. Whether it was successful in preventing damage to the external components of the Merkavas, I'm not certain. I don't know. But what we don't see is any aftermath whatsoever. Okay. Let's move to the Sheikh Hamad Hospital. We're going to talk about hospitals. We're going to talk about the protections that they are afforded and what happens when, well, we'll just talk about the hospital and we'll get there. This is the location of Sheikh Hamad Hospital. It's in the general location of where we are, so we're not moving far. Like, we're really not moving far at all. It's right here, this place. Okay. Like the last geolocated position that we had was here. So that was where, a portion of that last clip we just watched took place. And this is the location of the Sheikh Hamad Hospital. The IDF shared video of tunnel entrances to the Sheikh Hamad Hospital. But the video I wanted to show you first was of Hamas firing from that hospital. So you're seeing both impacts and small arms fire coming from some of these windows here. Right now, after the fact, the IDF released this footage. So there's a little bit of, this is what we do, right? So the IDF actually released a statement and went through this footage with one of their spokespeople, their spokesman, whatever. Those are actually IDF troops. That's not Hamas. That's not Hamas walking in and out of I've seen mainstream media outlets claiming that that's Hamas. This is after the assault on this hospital. And those are IDF troops, specifically IDF Special Forces troops, moving in and around the tunnel entrance, which is actually back here. Anyway, additional context for you. There's some footage of that tunnel entrance. We'll see that again in just a second. And there it is. So in one of their recent, I think the IDF was smart for doing this. They're very active on Twitter. In one of their recent Twitter discussions, that they show the footage, they talk about the context, their version of the context. they talked about the development of this hospital. This hospital started its construction in, I want to, just within the last couple of years. Back as far as 2010, the IDF shared satellite imagery of Hamas as they were bringing in cement and construction materials, specifically arches. Those arches have been now identified as the support structure for the tunnel system that goes underneath of it. Prior to this hospital being built, it was a known Hamas compound. So Hamas, by extension, effectively built a hospital where they used to have a known compound over top of known tunnels that they use, to move their fighters through a subterranean network. That is effectively what you're looking at here. Okay. We're going to be jumping into our general section. The general section, like I said, we've already looked at some footage that I didn't have a great understanding of geolocation. And when I say a great understanding, I mean there's a bunch of water. It's probably on the coastal side. But this is footage that there's just no way for me to know where exactly in Gaza or in Israel it's taking place. Some of it could be West Bank, some of it could be Gaza. I think the majority of it is Gaza, though. Anyway, here's more footage of Hamas playing jump out with Merkavas. And it goes better than you'd think. I kind of sneered at this not too long ago. I thought that it was kind of a joke to play jump out. Here's the problem, is these tunnel networks, as Israel clears past a certain point, if they don't find all of these tunnel exits, akin to a Tor node exit, if they don't find all of these, then effectively Hamas is able to just quite literally jump out and end up behind the IDF, which is what's taking place here. No sound for this one yet. Okay, so let's just hold on a second. This is an Abu Hajr moment. Don't stare down the backblast of an RPG. All right, let's bring it up. Torek, what's up, man? Thanks for the $2. Notice you see cuts right after point of impact. Yep, you sure do, man. Yeah. Not a whole lot of clarity, context on what happened after they hit these Merkavas with those RPGs. You're absolutely right. Thank you for all of the renewals on the memberships. Lawrence, Ramadi Redleg, Rob, Grima, 2 empaths, Bruce, DW, Jacques, and P-Dub. Thanks for renewing your memberships, guys. We appreciate that very much. We're a small team, and thank you for being here. I have some bit more IDF published ground operations footage. No great location for it, though, but this is from the 5th. This is from yesterday. All right. Coming up. Some of these are pretty short. Hamas RPG stuff. That's literally the note that I have. I don't have a script for what we do here. It's quite literally a list of videos with sometimes a whole sentence of context. But what I wrote for this one is, quote, more Hamas RPG stuff. I mean, that's what we're going to watch. So I think I described that accurately, right? I have no idea what they were shooting at under most circumstances. I have no idea what happened on the other end of that RPG stuff. I just know that they were doing RPG stuff. Okay. Discretion may be advised on this one. I'm going to play this video, and I'm going to watch the chat, and I'm going to see what you guys say about it. Because there's a possibility we could be looking at something pretty wild. There's a possibility not. I don't know. You tell me. One more time. All right, so hold on, let me put myself right here. Now, even I, when I tweeted this out on our account, I said very clearly, I said there's a possibility that what we're looking at here is training footage. One way or another, I've worn the Byte suit, and this is cool footage, so we continue to share it. That being said, a lot of people are saying, you know, he's wearing a sleeve. I want to focus on a frame for a second. I just got to find it. Because if his sleeve extends to the entirety of his body, and I've worn the full suit, I have worn that suit top to bottom, along with a plate carrier on top of it, right? His entire body, that is not just a sleeve. Unless that entire suit and then a plate carrier gets applied on top of it, he's not wearing a sleeve. So he's either wearing a full suit, or this is an IDF dog chasing down a Hamas militant. Bork. Check his left forearm. We're looking at it. Yeah, we're looking at it. Yeah. So again, if it was just a sleeve, we would see a clear distinction between the sleeve itself and the rest of his uniform here. Right? But he's also wearing a plate carrier. Right? Now, that's not me saying that this is real footage. Absolutely not. For some reason, when you say something, it's automatically assumed that you're making the call and that you're putting your name on it. I'm not. He's either really dressed up there. If it is training footage, there's a possibility, at least it's a better than 0% chance that it is absolutely an IDF dog chasing down Hamas in the tunnels. There's also a possibility that he's just, wearing a suit, but he's not wearing just a sleeve. Absolutely not. That frame is clear. All right. Lepardi, thank you for the $2. Play it back at 0.25 speed. I don't think we need to, because we can just look at the guy here. Right? I don't think we need to play it back slow. We see his whole outfit here. It's all the same uniform. Anyway. there's a high likelihood it's training footage. So don't take all of that the wrong way. But you have to keep one foot into the alternative, right? You know, making a call that's direct unless you are a primary source and you're there is ignorant. It is. Even if it's so clear, always keep one foot in the alternative. Some pretty neat footage of medevac operations. The IDF is not escaping through this without casualties. And in fact, I want to say it was October 31st. I haven't rechecked these numbers. You know, again, go back to the beginning of the stream. I've been, you know, focusing on some family since we were last live. But in just one day, the IDF experienced 15 killed in action. I want to say near Beit Hanun. I'm not 100% certain on where exactly it took place, but the IDF is not escaping from this without casualties. We're going to see footage of an IDF dust-off operation. This is medevac. All right, let's bring it back up. Another training video. The chopper, that was like this official IDF release. Like they're officially saying that we have casualties. I'll show it to you here. Whatever. Don't be an idiot. All right, one more before we get into something interesting. Well, this one's just as interesting, to be honest with you. Now, this one, speaking of training footage, I don't know what's going on here, guys. I just more jump out shit with Merkavas. But what's interesting about this footage is we're about to see footage that was released by Hamas that it shows them running up to a Merkava and placing some kind of explosive device, an anti-tank explosive device of some kind, on it, then retreating from the Merkava and shooting it with an RPG. Where it's really interesting to me is just a few days ago, they actually released doctored training footage showing them training to do this. So either we are seeing the perfect application of what they trained their operatives to do, or one foot in the alternative is it might be fake. I don't know. I didn't take it as fake when I first watched it, but I do find it interesting that this was released only days after they showed their fighters training to do this. Here's the footage. Now, the only saving grace to this is that this tank is moving, right?
من بين يدي مسدة ومن خلفي مسدة فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون.
And you got to admit, it's kind of ballsy. This is one of those instances that we have no idea whether this is the APS, the trophy system, or what. The signature on the trophy system is a very bright flash. Just a heads up. You know, you can YouTube search the trophy system. That's what you'll find. Again, I have no reason to believe that this is fake. Again, I actually believe it to be very real. But I do find it interesting that this is a perfect application of the training that they produced and showed everybody just days ago. I actually tried to find that video, but for some, I had it this morning. I just didn't save it. I didn't save it, and I wanted to show it. All right. Let's pause. Squid says, hi, Grunt from southeast Missouri. I'm not saying who's right or who's wrong in this war. I know Hamas sure as hell not innocent. And likely Israel's not either, but I back Israel. Yeah, so this whole opinion, inbound, this whole forced neutrality thing, I find it to be interesting. I find that, especially with like the Ukraine war, this is where it became really prevalent. The use of the word bias, there's a lot of misunderstandings, or there's a misconception about what that word means. A bias is a predisposition, right? It means that something would have you predisposed to believe one thing or another. Arriving to, who you support through objective review of data is not a bias. That's actually the desired outcome. That's what you want, right? Me as an individual, as a person, that is ultimately how I have come to feel about the aggressors and players involved in both the war in Ukraine and here in Israel. I have no emotional, physical, financial connection to Ukraine, Russia, Israel, or Palestine, right? But this forced neutrality, this, whole hands-off, not our war thing, not our problem. The world is too small for these conflicts, these wars, to not have an impact on you, whether you be in Australia or you be here in the United States, where I am, right? I'm American. America. The world is not small enough for these to not have an impact. We can be surrounded without ever having any adversary on our border. And we do have an adversary on our border. I would say it's adversarial at the least that our border is as porous as it is. I don't have any problem with immigration come through and into the country legally through the officially designated process. But we could be surrounded, not necessarily physically, but economically, politically, because of the outcomes of these conflicts and the possibility that the adversaries, those whom have economically and politically opposed the values that we have here in the United States, should they ultimately win. So the world isn't big enough to say it's not our problem. We will bury our heads in the sand and wall ourselves off informationally, politically, economically. We are reliant on our European partners whom are very invested in these various conflicts. That's an opinion. It is not the perspective of the Funker team. It's not the perspective of Funker 530. My name's Ronnie. That's my perspective. Too many people think that I am speaking on behalf officially of all of the members of Funker 530 when we do this show. And that's absolutely not the case. Not whatsoever. Not even close, in fact. The majority of us have similar opinions, but I don't speak for them whatsoever. There's Josh, Funker, Will, Cole, Cam. We have our dev team. They're each individuals and entitled to their own opinion. When I give you an opinion, it's mine. I own that. Don't tell me who I'm speaking for. That's my perspective on that. Anyway, I got one more video for you. One more video for you. And for those that say, well, they're not my enemies, they absolutely do consider you as an American to be their adversary. There's video evidence of them saying that. You know, there are absolutely adversaries of the United States, of Great Britain, of Australia. There are people who oppose the values that you enjoy and want to impress theirs on you. And they will do so economically or politically or militarily in certain circumstances. I got one more video for you tonight. I did have a little bit of Ukraine footage for you, but we will probably have to cover that the next time I see you. Because we're starting to run up towards the end of the show tonight. Mark Ross, thank you for the $10. What's up with the Robotin, Tukmak, Melitopol, Partisan Warfare? ISW shows Partisan Warfare, but never see any videos. There's actually a little bit of... stand by. I got a link for you. I'm going to post it in the chat. We can watch it really quick. Down near the Sea of Azov, which is going to be to the east of Mariupol. This is in Ukraine. Partisan warfare, destroying Russian equipment here. So it's absolutely taking place from a footage perspective. We're not always going to see it, right? Again, video is an imperfect lens into a larger situation. Coming back up. Thank you very much for the 10, Todd. Appreciate that. Dipshits, thanks for the 5. Until we become human, we're effed. Mark, thank you for the $10. What's up with Robotine? Yeah, that's what we were just looking at there. Is some of that partisan warfare, it's not necessarily from Robotine, but that's just an example of that taking place. And again, we're not always going to see footage of it. Seeing the footage is the bare minimum, right? So if you see footage of it, expect things like that to be happening, you know, elsewhere as well. Thank you, Dave, for the $6.99. Same thing would apply to the neutral countries in 1940 who thought the war between Germany and Britain would not affect them. Clyde, thank you for the $20. I don't recall seeing a single machine gunner in these convoy videos. I have never been in a convoy without some gunners in at least every other vehicle. Actually, there was quite a bit of that. In one of the IDF ground operations videos near the coast, we saw a gunner engaging, right? So what's interesting to me that we don't see but is likely there is a general lack of infantry support with respect to some of these lone vehicles that were hit. Now, that's going to be situational, right? There could very well have been infantry support elsewhere outside of frame. Video, once again, is an imperfect lens into the situation that's actually taking place on the ground. Using one or even 2, 3, or 4 videos to come to a broader conclusion on something in totality, like infantry support to tanks. You know, IDF's not doing infantry support to tanks. We don't know that. I've seen plenty of footage with infantry standing around tanks. We saw footage of Golan Heights of the 53rd Armored Brigade providing support to infantry. But there absolutely were a couple videos tonight that showed lone vehicles kind of out on their own. Thank you very much for the 20, Clyde. Robert, thank you for the $10. Appreciate that very much. I got one more video for you, and we're right at the end of the stream here. And I wheezed watching this one. But I will see you guys tonight on the post show where we can talk all about this last video. It's going to automatically redirect you over there. Thanks for swinging by the combat footage show. I appreciate you for being here. Admin note, I won't see you on Friday because we're going to be in Vegas at MCon. The entire Funker 530 team is going to be in Vegas on ground at MCon. We're looking forward to seeing you if you're there. If not, we're hoping to catch you next year, or maybe we'll catch you at SHOT Show, one of the two. But that's where we'll be, the whole team, out there in Vegas at MCon. But anyway, we could talk more about that on the other show, on the post show, excuse me. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you very much. Thank you very much, Charlie Brown, for that $5. Lewis, thank you for becoming a member. Good night, and just remember, old habits die hard. Stay informed.
Oh, that was you?
That was me. This is citation for driving on suspended license, okay?
Yes, and I'm paying on that last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just tap right here. Why is he running? He doesn't even have a warrant. Hey, Curtis! Or, what's his name again? Roberts, you're good, bud! No warrant, Roberts! Oh, jeez. Last time you didn't.
Oh, that was you?
That was me. This is citation for driving on suspended license, okay?
Yes, and I'm paying on that last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just tap right here. Why is he running? He doesn't even have a warrant. Hey, Curtis! Or, what's his name again? Roberts, you're good, bud!
You're good, bud.
No warrant, Roberts! Oh, jeez. Last time you didn't.
I gotta watch it one more time.
That was me.
I just.
Citation for driving on suspended license, okay?
Yes, and I'm paying on that last one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just tap right here. Why is he running? He doesn't even have a warrant. Hey, Curtis! Or, what's his name again? Roberts, you're good, bud! No warrant, Roberts! Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Good night.